many of the visionaries, Steve Jobs and Nikola Tesla and all kinds of people. Is there a commonality in their primal intelligence, or are they all different? What do you see there?
Well, the one thing, as I talk about in the book, is that all of them read Shakespeare. And this I found totally fascinating. It's like, what is going, what is happening that all of them are reading Shakespeare? And it turns out that they're not just reading Shakespeare, they're reading Shakespeare in the same way. And they're all of them particularly obsessed with Hamlet. And there's this line in Hamlet, as a stranger, give it welcome. In other words, the weirder and odder something is, the more you should embrace it. And what you see with all of these thinkers is that when they see something unusual or different, they don't do what a computer would do. So what does a computer do when it sees something weird or unusual? Well, it skips over it, or it regresses it to the mean. That's what a computer does, is it skips over exceptions. But what all these thinkers did is they doubled down on exceptions. Once they saw something weird or odd, they said,
that's interesting.
Let's have more of it. Let's have more of it. And that's the same process that occurs in your brain when your brain is telling a story. Because what happens in a story? Well, first of all, a story starts out with an exception. That exception is the main character, the hero, the person who is different from everyone else in her world. That's why she's the main character. So what does she do? Does she regress herself to the mean? No, she doubles down on what's distinct or unique about herself. And by doing so, she changes the world around her. And so this way of thinking in story that is natural to us, but that all of these thinkers felt reinforced through Shakespeare. And to your point, I also didn't love Shakespeare when I was growing up. I really disliked Shakespeare. And so one of the things I wanted to do in this book is, if you've ever read Shakespeare and just thought, oh my goodness, I did not connect with Shakespeare at all, that was me. I read Shakespeare in high school and was like, oh my goodness, this is so tedious, And that was because of the way it was being taught to me. It was being taught to me that there was a right answer in the Shakespeare,
right,
that you needed to read it the right way. And this is, again, coming from this kind of computational model of how our school system works. Interpretation, which is what you're taught to do to literature, is actually a computer function. Computers are very good at interpreting. Interpreting is moving from one language to another. Computers are able to move in between, machine language and ASCII and all these other different languages. But when you're reading a story as a child, do you ever interpret it? No, right? You imagine yourself as the characters in the story. You say, what would I have done in that situation? And that is what we need to kind of get back into. If you give a Shakespeare play to an actor, you'll immediately see how it's supposed to be used. Because an actor will pick up the play and they'll start to imagine themselves as the character. And they'll start to say, what could I do that no other actor has ever done before in this role, but still have it work with the play? And the more that we bring that process into schools, the more I think that people are going to start to love Shakespeare again. Because that's what Shakespeare really is, not being told that, Macbeth is an allegory for this, that, or the other thing.